Dear diary viewers, Happy New Year 2026. In this video, I thought I start off the year in being real with you all. I have some regrets in life. Yes, regrets, which I think I am becoming more comfortable to share. One of those I would be sharing within this year. Its intent is not to steer pity, sympathy or rebuke. However, I believe that it would help someone here or there reconsider certain things prior to saying the big I do. One of my regrets was discovered whilst I read the book of Ruth. I realized there were 5 biblical principles I wish I knew before marriage, and Ruth's life taught me those. Discover them with me. I'll be honest with you, when I first read the book of Ruth, I almost skipped it. A short story about an ancient widow and her mother-in-law. I thought it had nothing to do with my life, but as I prepared for my own journey into learning in marriage, God kept bringing me back to Ruth's story, and what I discovered changed everything. Ruth wasn't just a widow's tale, it was a masterclass in the kind of person I should have been before I ever said I do. Here are the 5 things I learned rather too late. 1. Loyalty is built before the wedding day. I used to think commitment was something that automatically kicked in when you got married, like a switch flipping on your wedding day. Then I read Ruth's words to Naomi. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. What struck me was this. Ruth made that declaration before she ever met Boaz. Her loyalty was tested and proven in her relationship with her mother-in-law, not her future husband. That convicted me. I started asking myself hard questions. Did I really envisage taking in everyone in my husband's home as my own family, especially when they get difficult? Was I really ready to bail on them when things aren't convenient? Am I committed to his church, or do I hop around when I don't get my way? I realized that the person I was becoming in my everyday relationships was the exact person I brought into marriage. If I couldn't be loyal to friends, family, and God when it cost me something, I wouldn't suddenly become a committed spouse just because I put on a ring. Ruth taught me that character isn't built at the altar. It's built in the ordinary, unglamorous moments of choosing faithfulness when no one's watching. 2. Humility opens doors. Pride would keep closed. Here's something I had to learn the hard way. My pride was blocking my blessings. When Ruth arrived in Bethlehem, she could have complained about her situation. Is this where he lives? Can I put up with this childish character he portrays? What's up with all this disorganization? Instead, Ruth asked to glean in the fields, the ancient equivalent of sorting through leftovers for survival. This was back-breaking work reserved for the poorest of the poor, yet Ruth did it without complaint. I looked at my own life and saw how often I thought certain things were beneath me. I remember turning down opportunities because I thought I deserved better, avoiding difficult conversations because I didn't want to look weak, refusing to ask for help because I wanted to appear like I had it all together. But Ruth showed me that humility isn't weakness, it's the pathway to favor. Her willingness to serve, to work hard without entitlement, to do what needed to be done, regardless if people were cheering or jeering. That's what caught Boaz's attention before anything else. Now I understand that in marriage, there will be seasons of doing things I never imagined. There will be sacrifices, uncomfortable conversations, and moments where I have to put my ego aside for the sake of the relationship. Ruth taught me to start practicing that humility now, though I think it could have been earlier. 3. Wise counsel is more valuable than your feelings. This one was tough for me because I've always been independent. I like making my own decisions, trusting my own judgment. But Ruth's response to Naomi changed my perspective. When Naomi gave Ruth instructions about approaching Boaz, Ruth didn't argue or question. She simply said, I will do whatever you say. That wasn't blind obedience. It was wisdom recognizing that Naomi understood things Ruth didn't. I had to ask myself, am I teachable? Was I teachable before marriage? Or do I only accept advice that confirms what I already want to do? I recently started intentionally seeking counsel from people who were further along than me, married couples I respected, mentors who knew my blind spots, my mum who loved me enough to tell me hard truths. I lost my dad in 2019, God rest his soul, and honestly, those days he was still on this side. He said things I didn't want to hear. There were moments when my feelings screamed one thing, but wise counsel urged caution. There were relationships I thought were meant to be that godly people questioned. Learning to value their wisdom over my emotions wasn't easy, but Ruth showed me it was essential. Before marriage, I wish I'd surrounded myself with people who would tell me the truth, not just cheer me on. Because feelings are wonderful, but they're terrible decision makers. I was just fortunate that God's grace became and still remains my sufficiency. 4. Purity and boundaries. Protect God's best plans. The scene at the threshing floor always fascinated me. Ruth lay at Boaz's feet at night, a culturally significant but potentially compromising situation, yet both maintained absolute integrity. I won't lie, this principle felt restrictive at first. In a culture that says, if you love each other, what's the big deal? Maintaining boundaries felt old-fashioned, even unnecessary. But then I saw what happened in Ruth's story. Her purity didn't make her less desirable, it made her more honorable. Boaz blessed her for it, saying her kindness in maintaining boundaries was greater than her other acts of kindness. I realized that physical and emotional boundaries before marriage aren't about God being a killjoy, they're about protecting something precious. When I blur those lines, I cloud my judgment. I start making decisions based on attachment and chemistry rather than character and compatibility. Ruth taught me that restraint isn't rejection, it's respect. Respect for myself, respect for my future spouse, and respect for God's design. And the right person won't resent my boundaries. They'll honor them, and thank God BJ did till marriage. 5. God's timing requires patient faith. If I'm being completely transparent, this is the principle I struggle with most. Ruth didn't meet Boaz the moment she arrived in Bethlehem. She gleaned day after day. She waited while Boaz handled legal matters. She trusted God's timing even when her situation felt desperate. I've spent so much time asking God, when? Why is this taking so long? Shouldn't something have happened by now? I've watched friends get engaged, get married, start families while I'm still waiting. And in those moments, the temptation to settle, to grab whatever's available rather than wait for what's right, feels overwhelming. But Ruth's story reminds me that God's delays aren't denials. While she waited, God was positioning Boaz, arranging circumstances, writing a story that would echo through generations. Her patience led to a marriage so blessed that her great-grandson was King David, and her lineage led to Jesus himself. That perspective changes everything for me. What if God is using my present waiting season to prepare me? What if He's helping me develop the character I'll need for the marriage He has planned? What if the delay is actually a gift, protecting me from relationships that would have derailed His best? Dear diary viewers, I'm not a widow like Ruth was. My circumstances are different, but the principles she lived by are timeless, and I share so that we all can learn her values and grow. Ruth has taught me that the person I need to become isn't shaped by my relationship status. It's shaped by my daily choices to be loyal, humble, teachable, pure, and patient. I'm learning that marriage preparation and the journey of marriage itself isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about becoming the right person. It's about building character in the waiting, practicing faithfulness in the ordinary, and trusting that God's way is always better than my shortcuts. Therefore, whether you are still single, in a relationship, or getting engaged tomorrow, Ruth's example should give us hope, reminding us that when we honor God in the process, He writes stories more beautiful than I could script myself. Her journey from loss to love, from foreigner to family, from gleaning in fields to becoming part of Jesus' lineage proves one thing: God's plans are always worth the wait and worth doing things His way. And that's the kind of faith I want to carry throughout my journey in marriage. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for more inspiring videos. And you comment below to share with us some of your regrets in life as a Christian married woman and how you have turned this regret to a learning objective. God bless you as you do. Shalom.